Marilyn Monroe was in the middle of a performance when her dress ripped. Not a small tear. The entire back seam split open in front of 2,000 people. Everyone expected her to run off stage. What she did instead turned a wardrobe disaster into the most talked-about moment of her career. Before we continue with this incredible story, if you're enjoying these untold moments from Hollywood's golden age, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We share stories like this every week, stories about humanity behind the fame. Now, let's get back to that June night at Madison Square Garden, New York City, June 1955, Madison Square Garden. The venue was packed. 2,000 people had paid to see a charity gala featuring some of Hollywood's biggest names: Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., and headlining the evening, Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn was nervous. She was always nervous before performances. Despite the fame, despite the success, despite being the most recognizable woman in the world. Standing in front of a crowd terrified her, but she'd agreed to do this show. The money was going to the Actors Fund, a cause she believed in. So she pushed through the fear, put on the dress, did her makeup, and waited for her cue. The dress was stunning, a custom Trevilla, skin-tight black silk with thousands of hand-sewn sequins, the kind of dress that looked painted on, that showed every curve, that made cameras love her even more than they already did. It had been fitted 3 times, tailored to perfection, or so everyone thought. Marilyn's name was announced. The crowd erupted, 2,000 people on their feet, applauding, cheering, whistling. She walked onto the stage, smiled that smile, waved. The applause got louder. The band started playing "Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend," her signature song, the one everyone wanted to hear. Marilyn began to sing, moving across the stage, working the audience. She was in her element now, the fear melting away, replaced by something else, something that only happened when she performed, when she became Marilyn Monroe instead of Norma Jean. She was halfway through the second verse when she felt it, a small pop in the back of her dress, right along the seam. She kept singing, kept smiling, but her mind was racing. That wasn't good. That was the sound of stitching giving way. Another pop, louder this time. She could feel the fabric separating, the dress loosening, opening. She reached the chorus, raised her arms for the choreographed gesture everyone expected, and that's when it happened. The entire back seam split, from her shoulders to her waist. The sound was loud enough that people in the front rows heard it. The dress gaped open, held together only by the front closure and sheer force of will. Marilyn felt the cool air hit her back, felt the dress shift, felt 2,000 pairs of eyes suddenly realize what had just happened. This was every performer's nightmare, a wardrobe malfunction, on stage, in front of thousands, with nowhere to hide. The band noticed, started to falter. The trumpet player missed a note. The drummer lost the beat for half a measure. Marilyn had about 3 seconds to decide what to do. Run off stage, stop the performance, let embarrassment win, or something else. She chose something else. She laughed, a real laugh, not the breathy Marilyn Monroe giggle, a genuine, surprised laugh. And she kept singing, didn't miss a single word. She reached behind her back with one hand, held the dress closed, and turned it into part of the choreography, made it look intentional, like she'd planned to strike that pose all along. The audience realized something had happened, but they weren't sure what. Was it part of the act? A planned bit? Or a real accident? Marilyn finished the verse, then stopped singing. The band kept playing. She walked to the microphone, still holding her dress closed with one hand. "Ladies and gentlemen," she said, her voice carrying across the arena, "I think my dress just decided it wanted to be part of the show. It liked the song so much, it wanted to join in." The audience laughed. Not cruel laughter, delighted laughter. She was making a joke, turning the disaster into entertainment. "The problem is," Marilyn continued, "the dress is a little too enthusiastic. It wants to show more than I planned to show tonight." More laughter, louder now. People were relaxing. This wasn't a crisis. This was Marilyn being Marilyn. "So I'm going to need a little help here. Is there a seamstress in the house? Anyone? A tailor? Someone with a safety pin the size of a small car?" The crowd was roaring now, applauding. They'd come to see a show. This was better than any scripted performance. Backstage, the stage manager was panicking, trying to figure out what to do. Send someone out with a robe? Stop the show? Call for intermission? But one person wasn't panicking. A dancer named Rita. She'd been watching from the wings. She was wearing a shawl over her costume. A beautiful silk shawl she'd bought in Paris. Rita didn't hesitate. She walked onto the stage, right into the spotlight. Handed Marilyn the shawl. Marilyn turned to her. "You're saving my life right now. What's your name?" "Rita." "Rita is a hero, ladies and gentlemen. Let's hear it for Rita." The crowd applauded. Rita blushed, started to walk off. "Wait," Marilyn said. "Don't go. You just saved the show. The least I can do is share the stage with you. Stay here. I'll teach you the next song." Rita looked shocked. "I can't. I'm not. I'm just a dancer. You're a performer. That's all that matters. Come on, it'll be fun." The band started playing again. A slower song. One of Marilyn's ballads. And right there, in front of 2,000 people, Marilyn Monroe taught a backup dancer the words to her song. They sang together. Marilyn with her shawl wrapped around her shoulders covering the split dress. Rita nervously but gamely following along. It was imperfect. Rita forgot some words. Her voice cracked on a high note. But it was real, genuine, human, and the audience loved it. They loved seeing Marilyn not as an untouchable goddess but as a person, someone who could laugh at herself, who could turn a disaster into a gift, who could be graceful under pressure. When the song ended, the applause was deafening. People were on their feet, not just politely applauding, standing, cheering, some crying. Marilyn hugged Rita, whispered something in her ear that only Rita could hear. Rita nodded, wiped her eyes, walked off stage. Marilyn turned back to the audience. "Thank you for being so kind about my wardrobe emergency. I promise next time I perform here, I'll bring a dress with stronger stitching. Or maybe I'll just come in sweatpants. Those never split." The crowd laughed, applauded again. But seriously, thank you for laughing with me instead of at me, for turning what could have been a humiliating moment into something beautiful. That's grace, and you all just showed it. She took a bow, walked off stage to thunderous applause. Backstage, the director was waiting. That was, I don't even have words. That was the best save I've ever seen. Marilyn smiled, still holding the shawl around her shoulders. I learned a long time ago. You can't control what happens. You can only control how you react. I chose to laugh. It seemed better than crying. Most people would have run off stage. Most people didn't grow up like I did. When you've been embarrassed enough times in your life, you learn how to handle it. You learn that humiliation is only as powerful as you let it be. Rita was standing nearby. Marilyn walked over to her. "Thank you for saving me up there. I didn't do anything. You're the one who made it work. You gave me your shawl, without hesitation, without asking for anything in return. That's everything. It's just a shawl. No, it's a reminder that people are good, that when things go wrong, someone will help. I needed that reminder tonight." Marilyn took off the shawl, tried to hand it back to Rita. "Keep it," Rita said. "Consider it a gift, from one performer to another. I can't take your shawl. You can, and you will, because someday someone else is going to need help, and you'll give them something. And that's how it works. We help each other." Marilyn folded the shawl carefully. "Thank you. Really. I'll treasure this." The next morning, every newspaper in New York had the story. Marilyn's dress disaster becomes triumph. Monroe turns wardrobe malfunction into comedy gold. The night Marilyn showed true grace. The photos were everywhere. Marilyn holding her dress, Marilyn with the shawl, Marilyn and Rita singing together, Marilyn laughing instead of panicking. Critics called it one of her best performances, not despite the accident, because of it. Because it showed who she really was. Not a carefully constructed image, but a real person. Someone who could handle crisis with humor and humanity. Rita, the dancer who'd walked on stage with her shawl, got calls from 3 choreographers the next week, all offering her better jobs, better roles. Her career changed because of that one moment of kindness. "I wasn't trying to get noticed," Rita said in interviews years later. "I just saw someone who needed help, and I helped. That's what you do. That's what humans do for each other." But Marilyn, she's the one who made it special. She could have just taken the shawl and continued alone. Instead, she pulled me into the spotlight, made me part of the moment. That's generosity. That's grace. The shawl itself became famous. Marilyn kept it for the rest of her life, wore it to informal gatherings, to quiet dinners, to moments when she wanted to feel safe. It was found in her closet after she died, carefully folded, with a note pinned to it. From Rita, a reminder that help comes when you need it, that laughter is stronger than shame, that humans are kind. The dress, the one that ripped, was repaired, reinforced. Marilyn wore it again several times. Each time she'd tell someone the story, about the night it split, about Rita, about choosing to laugh instead of run. "That dress taught me something," Marilyn said once. "It taught me that the worst moment can become the best moment, if you let it, if you choose grace instead of panic, if you remember that everyone is human, everyone makes mistakes, everyone needs help sometimes." In 1968, 13 years after that night at Madison Square Garden, Rita was teaching dance at a studio in Brooklyn. One of her students was a young woman named Sarah, talented but terrified, convinced she wasn't good enough. That one mistake would ruin everything. During a recital, Sarah forgot her choreography, froze on stage, started to cry, started to run off. Rita stopped her, walked onto the stage, put her arm around Sarah's shoulders. "It's okay. We all forget. We all make mistakes. Let me help you." She danced the routine with Sarah, right there, in front of the audience, just like Marilyn had sung with her 13 years earlier. Sarah finished the performance. The audience applauded, not for perfect technique, for courage, for vulnerability, for grace. Afterward, Sarah asked Rita why she'd done that, why she'd risked her own reputation to help a student. Rita smiled. Because someone did it for me once. Marilyn Monroe. And I learned that the greatest thing you can do with your success is use it to lift someone else up. The story of the dress that ripped became legendary. Not because of the malfunction, but because of the response. Because Marilyn chose laughter over shame, generosity over self-preservation, humanity over image. It became a lesson taught in performance classes, a reminder that grace under pressure isn't about being perfect. It's about being real, about handling disaster with humor, about helping others when you've been helped, about remembering that everyone watching is human too. Today, that repaired dress is in a museum, the Smithsonian, with a placard that tells the story about the night it ripped, about Rita's shawl, about 2,000 people who saw something more important than a perfect performance. The placard reads, "This dress reminds us that our worst moments can become our finest moments. Not when everything goes right, but when everything goes wrong and we choose how to respond." Marilyn Monroe could have run off stage, could have let embarrassment win. Instead, she laughed. She improvised. She brought someone else into the spotlight. She turned a disaster into an opportunity for grace. That's the real performance. That's the real art. That's what we remember. And beside the dress, in a small frame, is Rita's silk shawl. The one she gave without hesitation. The one Marilyn treasured. The one that represents what we do for each other when things fall apart. If this story of a dress, a choice, and grace under pressure moved you, share this with someone who needs to hear that mistakes aren't endings, they're opportunities. That humor is stronger than shame. That helping someone in their worst moment is the best thing we can do. Have you ever had a moment when someone saved you from embarrassment? Let us know in the comments below.